Say hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a two-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
Hey, good morning, my friends. I hope everyone's doing well here the first weekend in August. If there's enough interest, we're going to try something different and something new. We're going to dedicate the first program of each month to the Route 66 Centennial, kind of an open forum, if you will. We want to build a network of cooperative partnerships, get people talking about the Centennial. Anything goes. We're going to talk about events, tourism development, economic development. And, there's another component to this Route 66 Centennial that factors into this quite heavily, and that is the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. Now, if you want to chime in today, I've got this set up so we can include you in the program. Just type in your notes, comments, and if you want, I will add you as a guest and we can actually talk to each other about some of the projects coming up down the road. So we're going to jump right into this. But first, like we always do, we're going to give a little bit of a shout out. As you might expect, it's a tad bit warm here in western Arizona, Kingman. It's about going to be around 100 degrees today, about what you can expect here in August in the Arizona deserts. But let's just jump right into this thing. We'll start off at the top. Route 66 navigation. I've been talking with Marian Pavel of Route 66 navigation. All kinds of updates being planned, things being done for that. I help a lot on that with event postings, and I'm going to, we're looking into adding 2026 events to the Route 66 navigation app. Also, the Mother Road Route 66 passport. There will be a special Centennial edition. Don't have a lot of details on that yet. And like I say, if you want to chime in today, Leanne or Chris, Keith, Nolan, anybody that's with us this morning, if you want to chime in, just type me a note. We'll add you as a guest and get you talking away here. I get a lot of questions about what different states are doing, different communities on the Route 66 Centennial. And this is a point of contention for me personally, and it's a frustration because we don't have a central clearinghouse for Route 66 Centennial or Route 66 information. It's out there, but you got to do a little bit of search and hunt and peck. So that becomes frustrating. So what are the states doing? Well, let's do this. And I hope you brought your pencil and paper with you. If not, I will have a lot of this in some blog posts on the Jim Hinckley's America website. In Arizona, historic66az.com/centennial. They have started a section on the Arizona Historic Route 66 Association website listing centennial events. Right now, they have two primary events with concrete dates set. The Route 66 Fund Run in 2026 will be May 1st through the 3rd. And the Kingman 66 Fest, an annual event held in Lewis Kingman Park, which was a roadside rest area during the Route 66 era. It's just a few miles east of downtown Kingman. In 2026, the Kingman 66 Fest will be held on September 9th and 10th. Flagstaff has announced that they are developing some Route 66 Centennial events. I checked out their website and looked at it. The details are really lacking, but they have put an emphasis on any events developed will be done in such a manner as to support his historic district Route 66 corridor businesses, restaurants, motels, things of that nature. Now, this is a very exciting development. The National Tour Association Their annual convention, the Travel Exchange 2024, takes place November 17th through the 20th in Huntsville, Alabama. They are having a special section dedicated to the Route 66 Centennial. I don't have a lot of details. I found out about this yesterday, and I have sent off an email and inquiring for more information. So we'll see where that takes us. Now, for those of you who are just joining us, if you want to join in this morning and share what your community is doing, or has planned or is thinking of doing with Route 66, or your business, or your podcast, or any projects you have, chime in. And if you want to be a guest this morning, that's what we're going to do. Oklahoma right now is really, man, they're selling everything on the hog, including the squeal. They're leading the pack. They established a Route 66 Centennial Commission in 2019. Tulsa started working on some of this a little bit sooner. But the key thing to Oklahoma's success, and make no bones about it, their success is tangible. I mean, they are going gangbusters here. A big part of this is the development of cooperative partnerships. That was made manifest at the AAA Route 66 Road Fest in Tulsa, Oklahoma this past June. And the Oklahoma Route 66 Centennial Commission has some great people involved, a dynamic lieutenant governor, and they're working with the Oklahoma Route 66 Association. Reese Martin, the president, is really a dynamic fella. He is on the go. Him and his wife, Samantha, they are doing some pretty amazing things. And there's a whole section on the Oklahoma Route 66 Association website about Centennial projects, as well as other marketing and promotional ideas that might spark some imagination. Their website is oklahomaroute66.com. That's oklahomaroute66.com. Reese, like I say, is the president of the association, but his wife is heavily involved with development in Tulsa. And what they put together, she was kind of spearheaded this project. This is very innovative and fascinating. A Route 66 Explorers Club for kids. This is not only a great way to get children involved, but this adds a new dynamic to inspiring family road trip vacations. You can find information on that on the Oklahoma Route 66 Association website. That's oklahomaroute66.com. Take a look at that. That's a program I think that should go national. Now, before I go much further, going national, I've been bugged by this for a long time, and obviously I'm not quite part of the solution. But the reason we're celebrating Route 66 Centennial and not the centennial of US 6, 5, 10, 12, 50 was the work of Cyrus Avery and the U.S. Highway 66 Association that was established in 1927. Their marketing and promotional campaigns were so successful, we are celebrating a highway in 2026. We need that association again, and I don't know how to go about that. There's been a lot of attempts. Some have been marginally successful, others not at all. But we need that association again for that Chamber of Commerce kind of feel to this. Okay, going on. Like say, Oklahoma. You want a poster child. And speaking of Oklahoma, Nolan, do you have any information on that Route66centennial.com? What kind of information they have, or is anything going on with that, or is it a private situation, or is it tied in with a government or national program? I know that there is a national Route 66 Centennial Committee, but I have not had a lot of information about that. I hope to find out more about that from Bill Thomas at the Miles of Possibility Conference. Thank you, Nolan. It's the Federal Commission. I'll be talking to Bill Thomas at the Miles of Possibility Conference. He is the head of the Route 66 Road Ahead Partnership, and he is on the National Route 66 Centennial Commission. Speaking of Oklahoma, the AAA Route 66 Road Fest, I was very, very impressed with it this year. Building a sense of community, fostering an awareness about Route 66, inspiring road trips. It was all there in one package with information booths from the Japanese Route 66 Association, Oklahoma, Texas Route 66 Associations, speakers, car show. The 2025 Route 66 Road Fest in Tulsa. And you can find information on this at route66roadfest.com. Is scheduled for June 21st through the 25th in 2025. Obviously, there's very little information up about the 2025 event. Right now, it's mostly a replay of 2024, but information is being posted on a regular basis. So that's one you might look at. And that's an event you might want to add to your calendars if you have any interest at all in the Route 66 Centennial. Illinois is moving ahead. They established the Route 66 Centennial Commission in 2021, and they have been very active building the network of partnerships with the Illinois Scenic Byway, the Illinois Route 66 Association, and CVB and tourism offices in communities along the Route 66 corridor. There's some pretty exciting things happening in Illinois with Route 66 in general, but with a focus on the Centennial. One of my concerns, what I'm seeing a lot of in discussions about the Centennial, is it seems to be a focus on the Centennial being a destination. And what it needs to be is the catalyst for building and plans, preservation, etc., that ensures Route 66 is here so people can celebrate the highway's bicentennial. That's another one of those personal things. One of the great events this year that if you have plans to develop Route 66 Centennial initiatives or projects, the 9th annual Miles of Possibility Conference takes place in Edwardsville, Illinois, October 31st through November 3rd. This is the only event of its kind that is centered on the business of Route 66. They're going to have some great speakers like one of the lead archaeologists and park attendants from Cahokia Mounds. This is a World Heritage Site just off Route 66 down near Collinsville. And Cahokia is one of the pre-Columbian cities. So Route 66, of course, as fans of Jim Hinckley's America know, I don't want to become myopic and just focus on Route 66. As a matter of fact, the 250th anniversary of the United States, Route 66 could figure into this so prominently because of sites like Cahokia, this pre-Columbian city. The Miles of Possibility Conference will be at the historic Wildey Theater in Edwardsville. And some of the speakers include Casey Claypool, the director of the Illinois Scenic Byway, Susan Kelly, who wrote a great biography of Cyrus Avery, fellow proclaimed to be the father of Route 66. Corey Jobe, he is the CEO, I believe, of Great Rivers and Routes agency, travel and tourism there. Corey Jobe was the Illinois State Tourism Director. And he helped just spearhead development and opening of a great neon park down around Granite City, Illinois. Reese Martin, I've mentioned before, he is the Oklahoma Route 66 Association president. He will be speaking about Oklahoma Route 66 tourism developments and centennial plans at the conference. Joe Sonderman, an acclaimed author, postcard collector, and editor for the Route 66 Association of Missouri magazine. He will also be speaking at the Miles of Possibility conference, as will Bill Thomas of the Route 66 Road Ahead Partnership and the National Route 66 Centennial Commission. It's a great event if you get a chance. There are more details, but you can find that on the website for the Miles of Possibility. Nolan, I agree. There are so many milestones that we could be celebrating into the future of Route 66. One of those is the 1932 Summer Olympics. The Bunyan Derby, 1928-29 would be another. The advertising campaign that the U.S. Highway 66 Association launched to promote Route 66. That's another one. The association really started marketing Route 66 for during the 1932 Olympics. That's another one to keep in mind. Okay, NewMexico.org. If you're in New Mexico, got a business or event you're developing, listen up. This is very important. NewMexico.org is the state's official tourism website. They have just announced a grant program, and all the details are on that section. Go to the news or on the NewMexico.org site. Now, with that said, New Mexico is getting aggressive, a lot of stuff happening. I'm going to walk a fine line here because the idea is to build bridges and not burn them. But Route 66 Association of New Mexico has had some issues. A faction decided to split from the original association and start another association, and that becomes very, very confusing. There is a New Mexico Route 66 Association. The original is the Route 66 Association of New Mexico. 2 Facebook pages. I don't see how this helps anybody. It's already created so much confusion and dissension. I don't think that was a good idea, but what can I say? If you want information about the grant program, I don't have. My best bet is contact the interim president of the original Route 66 Association of New Mexico, Vicki Ashcraft. And she can be, you can get a hold of her through the Enchanted Trails RV Park and Trading Post at Albuquerque, New Mexico. She's been involved with the association for more than a decade, and she's acting as the interim president. City of Tulsa. They have got so many initiatives, neon sign, matching fund grants, programs, and development. When I was in Tulsa in June for the Route 66 Road Fest, the 11th Street corridor, that's an alignment of Route 66 in Tulsa. It's amazing to see the transformation. And you can sense there's a palpable vibrancy among business owners and community organizers. It's really impressive. And if you're a community organizer or you're involved with developments in your community, like through a Main Street organization, it might be really advantageous to check out the cityoftulsa.org website. Go to cityoftulsa.org/Route 66. There's a lot of great stuff there that I don't think they'd mind plagiarizing and customizing, using these as templates for developments in communities. And you can also, there's contact information for some great people. Their tourism director. Of course, you can get a hold of Reese Martin through the Oklahoma Route 66 Association. Lots of great idea sharing out there. Publicity and media there's a marked increase in what's happening with Route 66 Centennial. And unless we have another apocalypse like 2020, or we succeed in burning the country down during this November, 2026 for Route 66 communities and businesses is going to be off the chart. Personally, I have seen more than a 100% increase in the number of requests for media interviews this year. And Route 66 it's definitely the most famous highway in America. There's just no doubt about it. It's astounding. Tour companies. I've been talking with some of the tour company owners, discussing plans. I know of 3 right now. Two Lane America, Austin Coop's tremendous company out of Chicago, Gilligan's Route 66 Tours. They offer a guided tour package. It's pretty extremely well done. And they also offer a first class self-driving tour package that's well worth checking out. And Route 66 Germany, Wolfgang and his crew they're already planning 2026 Route 66 tours. And the highway is really shaping up. I'm seeing it up and down the road. There's still a lot of communities and places that don't get it, but those that do are transforming this highway into, it's becoming a manifestation of what, well, it's been promoted as the Main Street of America, America's longest small town, living history museum. You fill in the blanks. A great event. Now, if you want to really take this Route 66 road trip to another level, the European Route 66 Festival takes place in Prague, Czechia, the weekend of August 30th. There is an annual Harley-Davidson event in Europe every year, and it's huge. This year, that event is Prague. And the organizers of the European Route 66 Festival this year, Zdeněk Jurisic, is primary with the Czech Route 66 Association, is partnered with the organizers of the Harley-Davidson Festival. So they are projecting crowds of 30,000 plus at this event in Prague. I know that there will be representatives there from Illinois. I've been working with some CVB directors to have material shipped over, talked with Dries Bessels of the Dutch Route 66 Association, and there will be we did this in 2016 at the festival, in 2018, the first 2 European Route 66 festivals. And we had an information booth, a manned information booth, and we're going to do that again this year. And we're getting material shipped over, and it'll be manned by people in various languages. Dries is fluent in Dutch and English, and we'll have lots of materials there and can answer questions and help people plan a Route 66 trip. An example of Oklahoma, I mentioned how they are really getting involved. The lieutenant governor is going. Samantha Martin will be there representing some of the projects in Tulsa. And Reese Martin of the Oklahoma Route 66 Association will all be in Tulsa. There will also be representatives from Illinois that are working with the Illinois Route 66 Rock of Fame, Rock and Roll Museum, Miles of Possibility Conference. So that is all very, very exciting. One more is the 250th anniversary of the United States. I can't think of a better thing to a better way to celebrate this than on the Main Street of America. Because Route 66, we have so many attractions, not only tied to Route 66, but American history. I mentioned Cahokia. You have places like the Pigeon Ranch. The last building on the Pigeon Ranch is preserved along the pre-1937 alignment of Route 66 in New Mexico. This was a hostelry established on the Santa Fe Trail. It was a key location in the Battle of Glorieta Pass in the American Civil War. During the era of the National Old Trails Road and Route 66, it became a tourist attraction. The well across the street, nobody knows exactly how old that is, but that was part of the tourist attraction. And there's claims that it was there when the Spanish conquistadors came through. And just a few miles down the road, along that same section of Route 66, is Pecos National Historic Park. When the Spanish conquistadors did come through New Mexico area in the 16th century, this was the largest city that they encountered north of Mexico. And we've got Civil War battlefields. Wilson Creek Battlefield in Springfield is just Missouri, is just off Route 66. Abraham Lincoln's home is off Route 66 in Springfield, but his library and museum is on Route 66 in Springfield, Illinois. So the 250th anniversary of the United States celebrated on Route 66. Dare to imagine what we can do if we link the two of those together. If you want information about national planning, not just Route 66, but national planning of what's going to be taking place in 2026 on the celebrations of the United States, check out the website america250.org. And this is really great because we come together. If we're going to celebrate this, we celebrate this as Americans. If we're going to address the problems we face them and resolve them as Americans. We may disagree on policy, we may disagree on ideology, but at the end of the day, we come together as Americans and solve problems and celebrate our history and our heritage. So I was very excited to see that it was just announced that honorary national co-chairs of the America250.org initiative are President George Bush and Laura Bush and President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. I was really excited to see that because we really need to do this as Americans. Now, that's about 90% of what I've got. Now, I would like to hear your thoughts on the Route 66 Centennial, what we can do to come together, a little bit of brainstorming. And if this program, we're going to publish this later today, and it'll be, we have an embedded player on Jim Hinckley's America. We also have this we'll have it on Spotify and a lot of the major podcast platforms. If the program is of interest and if this generates enough interest in discussion, it's my intent to make the first Coffee with Jim episode of every month a forum on the Route 66 Centennial, a brainstorming session. Now, with that said, I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What do we need to do? What can we do? What would you like to see done? Do you have any ideas? Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any ideas on how we can use the Centennial today to start building a network of partnerships to community development, economic development, tourism development? I'd like to hear from you. Chris, Nolan, Leanne, anyone want to chime in here? Nobody wants to hear me just beat my gums for an hour here. Chris, would you like to chime in? I got something to say. Good. Shall we talk about that a little bit, Nolan? Very good. The arts situation, Nolan, is very important. And it's funny you should bring that up. Are you familiar with the program that Toshi Goto was working on with the Japanese
Yeah,
dancer?
it was a short film, right? And he was traveling and they were filming.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it. It's Bentenya. They not only did the documentary and the film series, but they were also at Tulsa performing, and now they're planning an Arizona tour in October.
Do you know how they booked that? Did they go through arts organizations, or was that?
Well, that's why we need that organization because uh, we're working on that. We're having to do this at the local level here in Kingman. I've reached out to the Kingman Center for the Arts and the Beale Street Theater, and I just spoke yesterday with Sean Evans in Flagstaff at Northern Arizona University to see if we can get some location there. And I've reached out to Alan Affelt in Winslow. And so we'll see if we can get that going. But the arts community would be ideal for this. And there are a lot of events, like First Friday events here in Kingman. A lot of communities have First Friday, First Saturday events. Those almost all have an art component. Here in Kingman, they have special hours at all the art galleries on Beale Street, one block off 66. And I know the Birthplace of 66 Festival, which is huge, is going to have an arts component as well.
Well, the one in Springfield?
Springfield, Missouri, yes.
Yeah. Well, for instance, I contacted the Springfield, Missouri Arts Council, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago. Never heard back. I'm having a hard time getting people to respond to emails. Maybe I just need to call on the phone. But
I hear Chris laughing there.
Sorry about that.
No, that's perfect. Nolan, this is a story. This is a discussion for another day. But I have. Oh my God, we need to do this as an evening program, and we'll include drinking and make it therapy. I am so frustrated with lack of response.
I'm in the boat with Nolan as well. So that's been the problem with Arizona podcast. It's you can bang on a million doors and nobody's home. So it's kind of sad.
Well, this goes back, guys, to why I don't know why we haven't been able to do it. We've had some good attempts, and they've made great contributions. David Knutson did the Federation, Route 66 Federation. It's still active, but it's kind of flat. He's kind of got older now. But one of the great things they pulled off was publishing Jerry McClanahan's Easy 66 guide. Then we had the Route 66 Alliance, the Route 66 Road Ahead Partnership. But the U.S. Highway 66 Association was they were so successful. And they did this, and in an era of hand-crank telephones, Model A Fords, and dirt roads, I just don't understand why we can't create this network. I get calls all the time for speakers bureaus. Speakers. They're looking for speakers. They've got a tour. They've got a media group. They've got an educational group on Route 66. And they call visitors bureaus, chambers of commerce, and they get a blank wall. What kind of, Chris, your Arizona podcast, I'm really surprised that you are having trouble getting people to respond.
You know what, Jim? It could just be me. I don't know that. Normally, again, I spent so much time in media, and getting people to talk was never a problem. And to get people to brag about what they're doing, and hey, come look at what we're doing, or look who we're serving, and everything that's supposed to happen. I mean, it is almost door slamming, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. I know that there's a way, and you have the magic, obviously. I mean, you have many guests that will join you, and I don't know how you do it. I mean, are you slipping a $10 bill somewhere? What's going on?
Well, number one, I started bathing every Friday.
Oh, there's the problem.
The other thing I started doing was for every guest I have on here, what nobody sees is the 150 phone calls and the 250 emails, the pleading
Well, you
these
can only
kind of
do
things.
so many invites to the point where you don't call anymore. You just say, you know what, I enjoy what I do. Arizona podcast. I haven't recorded a show. I have a long laundry list of people that say, "Oh my god, I'm so interested," and then crickets.
Well,
So,
you've got one guy right here for you. Nolan would
oh
be a
no, I'd
great
love to
invite.
have Nolan and Leanne's also in the room. I mean, I'd love to have somebody from Oatman talk to Arizona podcast, and especially now with the Mother Road Minute, I've kind of bypassed Oatman. It's almost to the point where you would said it best, Jim, where you said you're trying to build bridges and not burn them. But after a while, when you don't get a response from somebody, there are other cities along Route 66 that just, I mean, I've tried to talk to the people in Flagstaff, for example. That just, again, it's like, is my phone work? Jim, will you call me and make sure my phone works? It's one of those kind of things. So I don't understand. I'm really hoping the Centennial opens those doors and lifts the toll bridge on, the gates on the toll bridge to where they're going to want the publicity, and then we can talk to them and share what they have to offer to those that are going to hit the mother road. This is very exciting. 2026 is so exciting to see
Uh,
that come to life. I'm glad
uh,
to be a part of it.
Nolan, I've got a question, and Nolan is probably closer to this because of age and his association with universities than I am. But if anybody'd like to chime in, I have a theory on this. What you said, Chris, that people like to brag, talk about what they're doing, and be excited. Uh, well, could it be that because of social media, uh, that pent up pressure to share things and talk about things, they've got an outlet for it, and as a result, they don't. They're already spent, if you will.
Yeah.
Is that is that a possibility?
I'm thinking so. Again, there are so many organizations along Route 66. Just recently found one, and I tried to get out for a celebration they had. Was more of the sanctuaries for our donkeys along Route 66, and it's one of those things where a lot of people maybe listening on the East Coast, we literally drive highways with road signs that tell us to slow down for the donkeys, and that sounds weird that you would have that on your freeway, but that's what we live with out here. So there's so many sanctuaries. You know what? I envisioned a time when those that are touring the Mother Road will actually pull off and see what these rescue groups are doing for our boroughs and maybe participate in an activity, maybe on one of the weekends during the centennial, or donating money to help in the rescue of the boroughs. I mean, there's so much happening on Route 66 that people are going to come see, but unless they know it's there, they're not going to add it to their itinerary of where they want to stop along the way. I think that's our mission, Jim. I think that's what Arizona Podcast and the Mother Road Minute and Jim Hinckley's America. That's our mission. Is not only share the excitement, but let you know that the excitement is there. There's a building there. The lights are on. Come in and see what they have to offer.
Nolan, I know your big project is the Route 66 suite, your musical composition.
Yeah.
How will that be working out in the Centennial? Is it too early to really talk about that, or?
Well, this is really the time to be talking about it because conductors are planning their 25, 26, and their 26, 27 seasons right now. So I need to be talking to conductors. The problem is that orchestras sort of hide their conductors. They keep them, like they'll have an email address for every staff member except for the conductor. And then if you try to get a hold of the executive director, they're like, oh, well, that's just the conductor's decision. Well,
So,
how do you get me in front of the conductor? And they just don't want to do it. So I'm getting brick wall after brick wall. And the conductors that I have talked to actually contacted me. And that's the frustrating. I'm like, okay, so some people are hearing about it, but clearly a lot of people that aren't. And I could guarantee you, if people heard about it, the conductors would hear about it, they would be interested. But these orchestras are shielding their conductors. And the arts organizations as well. It's very frustrating.
Well, so conductors are hard to find. That sounds like Amtrak. Anyway, I'm sorry, I had to do that. Amtrak is another thing we need to be discussing with the Route 66
There you
Centennial.
go. There you
Because
go.
we have that line that runs from Chicago to Los Angeles, and from Los Angeles to almost Las Vegas, New Mexico. The railroad
Is that's a Desert Winter, the Zephyr by Amtrak, correct?
Southwest Chief.
The Chief, I'm sorry,
Yeah, Southwest Chief on that. What do you have planned for the Centennial, Chris?
Me, so far, I did a series on Arizona podcast called "A Moment with the Mayor," a day with the mayor, and I was able to speak again, Bertie in Winslow, and then the mayor, okay, the town of Williams. Why have I forgotten his name? He actually ran for political office, but anyway, I spoke with a lot of mayors along the way, and they opened the door for me, so I went ahead and walked in. The plan is that Mary and I will do a live podcast similar to your Coffee with Jim along Route 66. So we'll go into a town. Our plan is, the vision is to stop in and do the live podcast in each one of these towns, again, from border to border. We might even extend into New Mexico and into California, but we want to be a part. Even if we just sit there by ourselves, I took on the Jim Hinckley approach. I have no problem talking to myself. So if I'm there by myself talking, that's fine. I'm a pretty good listener and talker at the same time.
I get into
Jim
that.
talks to himself, but he's not actually on the air.
Yeah. Well, that's Nolan, you're not far off of that. I've been
No,
told
you're not.
I've been told I can do this for hours, even if I'm the only one in the room, and I still
one in
seem
the
to
room,
enjoy
yeah.
myself. The problem
No,
is
that's the plan. That's the plan for us. Is we would like to be in each town, and again, just like Nolan and just like you, the doors will not open. You're actually walking in the door. I don't know how. I mean, Jim, you're an analytic guy as well. You take a look at how many people are downloading the podcast. You know that they're listening. You walk into a room, and this is so different from radio. I mean, that's where I spent my career. But I mean, man, I walk in, and it's like, guys, give me a place to plug power in and allow me to do this in your town. Let's bring people here. Let's make sure you're part of the centennial. And it's like they care less. So it's disheartening. I'm not going to give up, but it's disheartening.
No. Well, the idea, like say, is to build these partnerships, and that's why if we have enough interest with this, we'll see about doing this the first of every month. We'll dedicate to the centennial. Nolan, we'll see if we can get some conductors, get people from the arts community to talk. Meanwhile, if we dedicate the first program, Coffee with Jim, every month to the centennial, I'll try to reach out, and perhaps you can reach out. We'll try to reach out to people. We'll give them a venue, we'll give them a platform, and we will try to develop just this.
I love it. I love the idea.
An open forum where we can talk about Route 66 Centennial projects. Let's give this a run and see what happens. And the rest of the month, we'll keep getting regular programs. I've got a great one coming up with a hotel owner that's been renovated a motel in Flagstaff. We'll be talking to her on the 15th, and we'll keep going with some great programs here of people on and off Route 66. And but let's see if we can keep this going for the centennial. I intend to reach out to some people on the America 250 project to see what we can do on that, to see how we can tie that into this. And Nolan, I think that's a big part of your concert too. Maybe, and matter of fact, something that just popped into my head. since nobody's answering the front door, maybe let's try the back door. The America250.org, since that's a national situation, that might open the door for a Route 66 concert tour. There
I'm
might be
thinking
contacts
also,
there.
I'm also thinking top down. Like when Chris mentioned mayors, I thought, oh, I remember meeting Bertie Kano in
Yeah.
Winslow. What a
She's a
great person,
doll.
right? And I wasn't seeking her out. It was just a local reporter said, "Hey, can I get an interview with you and the mayor together?" I'm like, "That's awesome." I mean, obviously, they don't have a symphony orchestra, but maybe I need to be talking to some politicians, mayors and governors that could say, "Hey, tell this orchestra that this is happening. This could be really good for the community, really good for the state."
It pays to know.
Absolutely.
It pays to know people in low places. Yes, I always believed that. Well, guys, this is good. I think it's been and Leanne, that would be great. Leanne said that Oatman's mayor is, of course, Walter the donkey.
Walter.
And
Yes.
he said, I'm sure he would be all in. We should do a program with just Walter. I got to tell you, Leanne, I'm digressing a bit, but there's a promotional campaign there with Walter since this is an election year. Walter is probably the most honest politician I have ever met.
You bet. And you know what? Getting an interview with him, Jim, has been impossible for me.
Walter he's the most honest politician I've ever met. He's an ass. He doesn't claim to be anything different. He is just straight. Here we are.
And
anyway,
he's part of your competition in book writing too. I mean, what is it? 4 or 5 books of Walter. So
okay, I've got my homework. Then, guys, I'm going to reach out to some of these people, and let's see if we can do this every month. And
count me in, Jim. If there's anything I can do to help, you know how to get a hold of me. I mean, anytime you want to. You need me to chat or to listen, you just let me know. Whatever I can do, and anything that anybody can do to make the centennial happen. I mean, let's get this thing going. And sadly, there's a lot of cities out there that are just scratching the centennial off, and figure and they're going to take. I don't know if that's a really good idea to have them. They're predicting over 1 million will travel Route 66. I mean, I've seen different reports and different estimates, but I mean,
there is so much happening, and people think that I'm right in the middle, thick of all this. I'm on the periphery, and I did some research on this centennial for today's program, and there are so many things happening I was totally unaware of. And it is huge, but my request for interviews has gone up exponentially. AARP magazine, True West magazine, Smithsonian, National Geographic, German television crews are on Route 66. I did China's largest in-flight magazine. I just had them here in Kingman, did a walking tour with them. They're doing a series of articles on Route 66 in the American Southwest. It's huge. We just need to get this out. So, guys, my homework then is we'll try this. I'll start promoting this after I publish this. I get this up. I'll set aside a section of the Jim Hinckley's America website. I'll try to do that this week with just basically bullet points with links to Route 66 Centennial projects, websites, things of that nature. And I'll start promoting that the first Coffee with Jim every month will be Centennial centered.
I like that idea, and you have the listener base for it, and Lord knows you've got a huge group of people that want to participate to make that vision of yours come to life. So, whatever I can do, I would imagine all the people in the room today are the same thing. What can we do to help? Don't discount us. We're out here for you, Jim.
I always know that you're there. These folks are out there, you and Nolan. I can always count on you to bend your ear. I can even count on Nolan for comedic relief when he comes up with places like Horny, North Carolina. It just,
Gonna go down that road again, are we?
I can't let that one
Dude
go.
almost went down that road where Tom Utko on the front door, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh no, I know where he's going. Nolan and I, Nolan and I are kindred spirits. I think we both do. I think you could hear our eyes roll when he went down that road.
Yeah,
but it's not. I want to just share something else here, guys. Another thought. Route 66, the 250th anniversary. We intertwine those, but it's more. We got Maggie May here with us this morning with the Ransom E. Olds Museum in East Lansing. There's a lot of this that we can tie together, like with the American auto industry. Lewis Chevrolet, Barney Oldfield, Edsel Ford just pop into mind right away. St. Louis has an incredible automobile row. So does Chicago, outside of Chicago. Old dealerships. And that ties in with some of the auto museums. The ideas are just limited, but ideas are 10 cents a pound. You got to do something with them. You got to bring them to fruition.
I feel we definitely should not give up. I have a feeling that a lot of it is, for most people, the 2026 is a long way off. They've just started the fiscal year for 24-25, and if you're anything like me, you can't even think a week ahead, let alone 2 years ahead. So it may be a bit of lack of urgency or lack of realizing that it actually is coming up faster than you think. This is the time to plan. But I have a feeling that when you mention 2026 and the centennial, that people are like, well, they'll put that on the back burner. We can talk about it next year, something like that.
Yeah, and then again, we don't want to burn any bridges here, but boy, California really needs to get on top of things and fix those bridges on Route 66, especially through the desert communities. I mean, it's still, Jim, you had mentioned, what if a major highway were to, blow up? Route 66 is an alternative. And boy, I tell you, I don't know if you watched the news last week when car batteries caught on fire on 15 on the way to Vegas, and then everybody jumped on the 40, and then everybody jumped on Route 66. The two gas stations in Ludlow ran out of gas. I mean, it was just a huge parking lot. But because the bridges are not in working order between Ludlow and Barstow, people were stranded. They had nothing to do, nowhere to go. There was no alternative. So, you know what? It's like Nolan just said. 2026 is just so far off. But dear God,
it is. But this has always been one of my Achilles heels, and I don't want to turn this into a confessional, but I've always had trouble with long-term planning. To me, long-term planning is, I wonder what I'll have for lunch. And I'm getting inquiries on a regular basis, tour companies and others, asking me, can you add us to your calendar for October 2026 for a speaking engagement? This is difficult for me to think like that. But some of these visionaries, like Oklahoma, they started doing this Route 66 stuff 3 years ago. 2019, 5 years ago, Oklahoma's started pushing this Route 66 centennial.
Right.
So it's out there, guys.
And Arizona, by the way, I'm not saying forget about the rest of the country. If we as locals focus on Arizona, the highlights on Route 66 are almost endless. I mean, I think we're still the only state with the longest run of Route 66.
Well,
uninterrupted.
Right. Oklahoma's got us beat on mileage,
but uninterrupted. I mean, this is something where, hey, come to Arizona and you can take, this part of the trip where you can do whatever. Nobody talks about that. I'm really hoping that's part of the magic of what Arizona has to offer.
Travel Route 66 in Arizona, meet the world's most honest politician.
Yep, I love it.
Guys, Nolan, Chris, and everyone who joined us today, thank you very much. Let's. I will work on always trying to find good guests to inspire people,
Well, then
not just
Nolan
on.
and I have to leave, right?
Yeah.
I have to leave. I want to inspire people, and so we'll find programs and interesting people on and off Route 66. But I will start promoting. I'll start pulling people. I'll start letting people know. I'll reach out to Scott Dahl in Springfield, Illinois, the CVB, and that we're going to do every month centennial program, and I'll set up a section on the website, Jim Hinckley's America, and better late to the party than not at all. And we'll see if we can get this going. And we'll start talking to people like Maggie and see how we can tie in some of the auto industry stuff. Because we
that's another one. Absolutely.
I know that the wheel bearing is connected to the muffler in a roundabout way. And the world's round. If we head east, we end up out west. But even though the auto industry, Detroit, Kalamazoo, Lansing, is not Route 66, it really is. Because without that, there wouldn't be Route 66 or a need for Route 66. And the auto industry figures prominently. This may not surprise Chris or Nolan or anyone who knows me well, but things just pop into my head. Just an example of the automotive history in Route 66. Yucca, Arizona. That was an auxiliary airfield for the Kingman Army Airfield, and it was purchased by Ford Motor Company, I believe, in 53 or 54, and converted into a test facility. And that's where the 55 Ford Thunderbird was first tested, was along Route 66 in the desert in Yucca, Arizona.
See, more knowledge than Jim. You should be on Jeopardy. You have perfect instant recall.
Well, I don't know about perfect. It's kind of like, yeah, that's like, it's kind of
I don't know about Nolan, but I still like the idea that we should get together one evening and do it with a little alcohol infusion and see what happens.
Well, that goes hand in hand with centennial conversations, because we frustrate ourselves with centennial conversations, then we can get together later for therapy.
Liquid therapy.
Nolan,
Jim, real quick, you mentioned the track. Do they still? Is that I can see it on aerial photography. Do they actually still use that track?
Yeah. The last I was aware of, it was Chrysler and Harley Davidson were doing stuff out there.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still a facility, and there's a lot of facilities, automotive facilities along Route 66 that just popped to mind. On Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena, last time I was there was a carpet store, but there is an absolute beautiful early 1920s Packard dealership with the original Spanish Baroque facade. That's the shape of a Packard grill. And
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
The Jones, I think it's the Jones Motor Facility.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. It's only limited by the imagination and our ability to bring people together. Maggie has a great idea. We still need to bring back the corner bar. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do to make sure that I can do what I can do is I've already added you to my monthly reminder for the first broadcast every month of Coffee with Jim, and then allow me to put it on the front page of my website of what you're doing. I think that there's a select group of people that have to be drawn into Route 66, and they don't know what's happening. So we need to reach out to them, make sure that they know that each community, again, I can look out my office window here and I can look at the backside of the Black Mountains of Oatman. So, it's like right around the corner for me. They are doing a great job with what they're doing. Basically, Oatman is the first city that welcomes Route 66 travelers into Arizona from California. Yeah, and they do a great job. You want to talk about seeing a wonderful city on routes. I traveled again. My favorite story is I saw Route 66 from the back end of a 1964 Chevy Bel Air station wagon, and that included everything along for, from the Indian Trading Store on the New Mexico border to Oatman on the eastern border or western border. It has so much to offer. Arizona is just one state of the so many that are part of this route. So we just need to share that with people. Every day I am surprised what I find on Route 66, not only here in Arizona, but the rest of the Mother Road.
I was surprised to find lodging in Oatman. I was so excited. I spent the night in one of the cabins,
Yeah,
and that was one of the best experiences I've had on 66 is watching the town go to sleep at about 6 o'clock. Everything was closed except for the bar. And
of course.
then and then all the burros are gone because they know they're not going to be fed, except for one. A family was playing frisbee with a burro.
Right.
That was like the cutest thing ever. I'm like, okay, I like Oatman at night. This is really interesting.
You know what? And here's something for you that blew me away. I took family to Oatman not too long ago, and the boroughs have learned that it's competition city to get food in within the city limit. So what they do now is they walk down from Oatman about a mile, and they just stand in the road. You're not going anywhere until you feed them. So they're getting smart and wisely so. But it's kind of amazing. All of a sudden, it's like, what's the backup here, guys? It's still a mile away. Oh, I see.
We've run our hour. I don't want to keep people going, but Maggie, I have $1 million idea for you. Maggie said a wine bar. There it is. Open the wine bar. WHINE.
I like it.
Open the wine bar for therapy.
I think you should. I think you should do your live broadcast too, or maybe Arizona Podcast can to do it. Help me here in Kingman, right there where you are, Jim, where you used to do the evening show in a restaurant.
Calico's.
Calico's. There you go. Yeah, I mean, maybe open that up. If you need, if maybe this is something I can do for, and I'll bring you in, and let's have another avenue.
Here's a thought: we could do a monthly video audio blog at Calico's.
Absolutely, I have the gear. Let's go.
And just like the Today Show, where people line up at the window holding their cards and hello, I'm in Kingman.
No, that scares the hell out of me, Jim.
We encourage people to show up outside the window and
it's only 120. Come on, join us.
Could have "Good Morning" tattooed on each backside cheek, and they could press against the window.
Oh, here we go. That's my cue.
Guys, this has been good. This has been productive. And Nolan, I hope this helped you a bit, and Chris and Leanne, everybody who joined us today. We had quite an audience, and we'll get this up and going and see what we can do. My plan is also this ties in with, since if we do this the first of the month, if I don't have technical issues like I did in Tulsa, my intent is to do a live program from the Miles of Possibility Conference in Edwardsville, Illinois on the 1st of November. And hopefully we can maybe round up somebody like Bill Thomas with the National Route 66 Committee, or Joe Sonderman or Reese Martin, somebody like that to kick it off. Guys, this has been good. Next week, we're going to have some fun. The 15th, I've got, let me see if I can pull this up. I know we're running a little late, and I do apologize. Let's see who we've got here. Lisa will be joining us, Lisa Kensinger, at the American Motor Hotel in Flagstaff. It's going to be pretty interesting. And I'm also talking with Sean Evans in Flagstaff. He was the archivist for many, many years at Northern Arizona University. But one of his big passions is to document the history of two guns. And he's got quite some stories to tell. We should be doing that towards first week of September.
Jim, thanks for the invite. Have a great day, okay?
You guys too. Thank you so very much. And I'd love to hear from you. We'll have this posted on our website, the Embedded Player. And we also have a dedicated website, Coffee with Jim, on Podbean. Feel free to share the program either through there, Spotify, whichever direction. And I'd like to see your comments, please. Good and bad. Let's hear what you got to say. Let's see how we can improve things and what we can do to. Well, let's make this a linear community, as Michael Wallace says. With that said, I'll bid adios, and we'll get you some music from Joe and Woody and the boys of the Road Crew. Road Crew 66. And road trips, check out routetripusa.com or Gilligan's Route 66
Say
Tours.
hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a 2-lane trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Jim Hinckley's America. Jim Hinckley's America.
And if you need a place to stay when you're on the road, I got 3 great suggestions for you. Roadrunner Lodge Motel in Tucumcari. Ask for one of the tiki rooms. I was just there. Impressive. David Brenner's a wonderful host. Of course, Connie Eccles, Wagon Wheel Motel, Cuba, Missouri. That's a must stop. And I'll tell you, don't overlook McLean, Texas. Cactus Inn Motel from the 1950s. Angela Moreland has done a great job. And when you're in town, Red River Steakhouse is next door. But the real gem is downtown, the Cactus Rose Tap Room. Take a look at that. My friends, thank you so very much this morning. We'll talk soon. Vaya con Dios, mi amigos.